Hey, good afternoon. What's going on? My name is Mike. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the father of neurology, Jean Martin Charcot. Like I said, is known as the father of neurology. Jean Martin Charcot was born in November 29th, 1825, in Paris, around the time when the field of neurology has not been formally recognized as a distinct specialty. He was a gifted painter who uses artistic and strong visual memory to make associations about patterns of disease in the field of medicine and anatomy. His father, financially limited, decided which of his sons who performed the best in school amongst the four will go on to get a higher education. Needless to say that Jean Martin won. Mastering French, English, German, and Italian languages enabled him to read medical language in these languages, which accounted for his well-rounded knowledge of a variety of subjects, including gerontology, the diseases of the joints and lungs, and anatomy, physiology, and pathology of the nervous system. After finishing medical school at the age of 23, Charcot worked as an intern at the Hospital de la Secretaire. I think I pronounced that right. After a well-received thesis on the differentiation of gout from chronic rheumatoid arthritis propelled him to chief of clinic in 1853, a position he held for 3 years before appointed as physician to the hospitals of Paris in 1856. Despite the Franco-Prussian War in 1870 to 1871 and the Revolt of Paris, temporarily halting his professional ascent, he was appointed a professor of pathological and anatomy at the University of Paris in 1872, and which will be a pivotal turning point in his career. Now, Charcot, who was a trained pathologist, recognized the important relationship with clinical and anatomical findings. He gathered extensive data through clinical observations, clinical signs and symptoms, and subsequently combined them with the findings on an autopsy. As a professor of as a professor of the pathological anatomy, he lectured on diseases of all organs while providing cadavers and specimens for his students. Some of his students go on to be well-known physicians, as in Sigmund Freud, Charles Babinetsky, and Gallus de la Tourette. Charcot had a special method of teaching that distinguished him from other professions, utilizing a unique and innovative teaching style for that time period, which included interviewing patients diagnosed with the same conditions, imitating neurological symptoms of the patients, and drawings illustrating the main clinical findings of a disease. As photography became popular, the new tool enabled him to capture the main features of particular diseases and demonstrate to his audience. Originally constructed by Louis VIII as a gun and gunpowder factory, Charcot will develop Secretary Hospital. He received charitable donations, including the Vincent de Paul Foundation, and put together a state-of-the-art neurological center for his time. He established a pathology lab, introduced orthoscopy, photography, and endoscopy. He referred to the hospital as a place of grand asylum for human misery because he had over 5,000 patients in 1862, with nearly 3,000 suffering from neurological diseases, providing him a vast number of cases in which he could conduct his studies. His trip to London for the International Medical Congress in 1881 brought international recognition to him as Secretary for the Progress of Neurology, and created suitable circumstances for the French Parliament to create and appoint Charcot as the chair in diseases of the nervous system. Charcot's other significant accomplishments include describing the brain vascular supply, differentiating tremors found in Parkinson's diseases with patients with multiple sclerosis, differentiating hysteria from epilepsy, and being one of the first physicians to set up rehab clinics for his patients, and forming the Bellini triad, diagnose acute colonologist, which consists of pain around the liver, jaundice, and fever, and was the first person who diagnosed MS on a living patient, and later to discover that ALS as a different specific neurological disease. Charcot also lectured and written books as in clinical lectures of the disease of old people, clinical lectures on senile and chronic diseases, and horrible chambers of the sexual lunatics. That's just a few. He studied until his death on August 16, 1983, in Les Deux-Sautours, France, passing his theories and studies to his son Jean-Baptiste Charcot, who continued studies in neurology and pathology. So, he discovered a lot of neurological things that back in the day, they thought was just one disease, like everybody had this one thing, but he kind of broke down the difference between ALS and MS and certain epilepsies, and a little bit more stuff like that. It was a lot, so that's it. Thanks.